When a billionaire black woman faces blatant prejudice from a flight crew who refuse to believe she owns the private jet, what unfolds is a story of resilience and poetic justice. From humiliation to triumph, her actions will leave everyone stunned. Let's dive into Samantha Johnson's journey, a tale of empowerment, accountability, and breaking barriers. Samantha Johnson, a 34-year-old self-made billionaire, stood under the radiant Miami skies. The morning sun gleamed off her sleek gold watch, a testament to the relentless effort that had propelled her to the pinnacle of the tech industry. Dressed in a perfectly tailored navy suit, she radiated an air of confidence and authority that demanded respect. Today's agenda was straightforward, a business trip to New York. But Samantha had long learned that nothing in her life came without a challenge. As she approached her private jet, she couldn't help but notice the cluster of uniformed crew members nearby. Their murmurs and not-so-subtle glances in her direction carried an unmistakable undercurrent of disdain. At the center of the group stood Captain Thomas Sanders, a man whose stiff posture and icy demeanor spoke volumes. His piercing blue eyes swept over Samantha, brimming with skepticism. When Samantha reached the foot of the jet's staircase, Thomas stepped forward, his smile as artificial as the plastic badge pinned to his chest. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he began, his tone dripping with mock politeness. "This jet is reserved for VIPs. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding?" Samantha halted, her gaze locking onto his with the precision of a laser. Her voice was steady, but her words cut through the tension like a blade. "There's no misunderstanding," she replied. "I am the VIP, Samantha Johnson." For a moment, Thomas blinked, his carefully composed expression faltering. The disbelief was evident in his eyes, but it quickly twisted into a smirk. "Right?" he drawled, dragging out the word as if mocking her. "Let me double-check that. In the meantime, you can wait in the lounge." Behind Samantha, her trusted assistant, Marcus, bristled with indignation. His fists clenched at his sides as he took a step forward, ready to defend her honor. But Samantha stopped him with a simple, calm gesture. Without a word, she turned on her heel and headed toward the lounge, her head held high. Inside the luxurious space, Samantha sank into a plush leather chair. The grandeur of the crystal chandeliers and marble floors did little to soothe the sting of the encounter. She pulled out her phone, her fingers moving with purpose as she dialed her legal team. Her voice remained steady and measured as she detailed the incident, laying out a clear plan for immediate action. Across the room, Marcus stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, his eyes fixed on the crew outside. Their laughter and exaggerated gestures were impossible to miss. Arrogance radiated from them, each movement a testament to their misguided sense of superiority. But Samantha was no stranger to prejudice, especially when it came disguised as professionalism. This wasn't her first encounter with people who underestimated her, and she had no doubt it wouldn't be the last. Yet, she had built her empire by turning obstacles into opportunities. This was just another challenge, and she knew exactly how to handle it. As she waited, a plan began to take shape in her mind, one that would not only address this insult but serve as a powerful reminder to everyone watching. Samantha Johnson was not a woman to be dismissed. Marcus clenched his fists, his frustration barely contained. His jaw tightened, and the ticking of the lounge clock seemed louder with each passing second. An hour dragged by, each minute stretching unbearably, before the heavy doors finally swung open. Captain Thomas entered, his smug expression firmly intact. He stood with a confidence that bordered on arrogance, a faint smirk curling his lips. "Unfortunately, the jet's owner isn't available right now," he announced, feigning regret, his tone dripping with insincerity. Samantha rose gracefully, her movements deliberate and composed, exuding an unshakable sense of control. Her piercing gaze locked onto Thomas, and her words, though calm, carried the weight of a storm. "Good," she said with icy calm. "We can discuss this now." Without waiting for a response, she strode past Thomas, her heels clicking decisively on the marble floor like a drumbeat of authority. Marcus followed close behind, his loyalty evident in his determined expression, ready to back her at every step. At the jet's entrance, Samantha paused. She reached into her sleek leather bag and pulled out her credentials. Holding them up with effortless authority, she turned to the crew. The group froze. Their earlier confidence evaporated, replaced by a mix of disbelief and panic. Thomas's smug demeanor crumbled as realization dawned. "This jet? This is your jet?" he stammered, his face pale. "Indeed," Samantha replied, her voice sharp and unwavering. She didn't flinch, her presence towering over the now awkward silence. "And as of now, you and your team are dismissed. Gather your belongings and leave immediately." The words hit like a thunderclap. One by one, the crew filed out, their earlier arrogance replaced by shame. No one dared meet her eyes as they walked away, their heads bowed in humiliation. Samantha stood at the top of the jet's staircase, her posture commanding and unyielding. Her gaze remained steady as she watched them go. Only when the last of them disappeared did she allow herself a brief smile, a small but triumphant victory. But Samantha wasn't done. She pulled out her phone and contacted her PR team, her instructions precise and unyielding. Within minutes, cameras were set up to document the incident. As the footage captured the crew's departure, Samantha stood tall at the top of the jet stairs, her figure framed by the morning sun. The image was striking, a powerful black woman standing her ground against injustice. By the end of the day, the video had gone viral, sparking a firestorm of conversations about systemic racism, privilege, and discrimination. Hashtags like #KnowHerName and #ShatterPrivilege trended worldwide, turning Samantha's experience into a rallying cry for change. The airline scrambled to respond, issuing an apology filled with vague promises and corporate jargon. But Samantha knew this wasn't enough. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was standing up for countless others who had faced similar prejudice but lacked the platform to fight back. At a press conference held the next day, Samantha took the stage. The next day, Samantha addressed a global audience from a stage that seemed almost too small for her towering presence. Cameras from every major news outlet were trained on her, broadcasting her words to millions. She stood tall, her expression calm but resolute. "This isn't just about me," she began, her voice steady but carrying an undeniable power. "Even with wealth, success, and privilege, we are not immune to prejudice. This is not an isolated incident. It's a systemic issue, one that impacts countless lives every single day. And it's time we confront it head-on." Her words rippled through the audience and across screens worldwide, resonating with people from all walks of life. Samantha's calm authority and undeniable authenticity struck a chord, sparking a wave of support. Social media lit up with messages of solidarity, and conversations about equity and accountability in the aviation industry reached a fever pitch. 2 weeks later, Samantha turned her words into action with the launch of Open Skies, a groundbreaking initiative with a mission to make the aviation industry more inclusive and equitable. The program's objectives were ambitious yet clear. Scholarships for aspiring pilots from underrepresented backgrounds, ensuring that talent and passion, not privilege, determined access to the skies. Mandatory diversity and inclusion training for all aviation staff, from ground crews to captains, designed to dismantle unconscious biases and foster respect. Mentorship opportunities aimed at breaking down systemic barriers, connecting industry veterans with those who had been historically excluded. The response was overwhelming. Letters and emails poured in, many from former crew members who, inspired by Samantha's stand, wanted to join the movement. Samantha welcomed them with open arms, recognizing that their first-hand insights could drive real, lasting change. As for Captain Thomas and his crew, their careers came to an abrupt and ignoble end. Public outrage made them a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that discrimination carries consequences. Months later, Samantha boarded her jet for the inaugural flight under the Open Skies banner. The crew that greeted her was a vivid testament to her vision, diverse, enthusiastic, and united by a shared commitment to excellence and equality. Each face reflected a story of resilience and opportunity, a living embodiment of what Samantha had fought for. Settling into her seat, Samantha gazed out at the endless horizon. The engines roared to life, a familiar sound that now carried new meaning. This journey wasn't just about reaching New York. It was about breaking barriers, rewriting narratives, and creating a world where everyone had a fair chance to soar. As the jet climbed into the sky, Samantha allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. She wasn't just flying, she was leading a movement, one that promised a brighter, more inclusive future for generations to come. If you found Samantha's story inspiring, don't forget to subscribe to Unfolded Tales Explained and press the bell icon to stay updated. Together, let's continue exploring stories that inspire, challenge, and change perspectives. Each tale holds the power to spark conversations, break barriers, and ignite meaningful change. Stay tuned, because the next story might just be the one to move you, empower you, or even redefine how you see the world.